I think mail-in voting is going to rig the election. I really do.
Are you suggesting that you might not accept the results of the election?
I have to see.
In 2016, the president also said he might not accept election results in a debate with Democrat Hillary Clinton. Mr. Trump said his administration is not trying to discredit Dr. Anthony Fauci, even though a Facebook post from one of his top aides mocked Dr. Fauci as Dr. Faucet.
It shows him as a leaker and an alarmist.
I don't know that
Why would you
he's
say
a little
that?
bit of an alarmist. That's okay. A little bit
He's
of
a
an
bit of
alarmist.
an alarmist?
A little bit of an alarmist.
Questioned about the rising number of coronavirus cases, the president falsely claimed that the U.S. has the lowest mortality rate in the world.
I heard we have one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. Do you have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate. Number one low mortality rate.
The U.S. mortality rate is currently 3.8%, the eighth highest in the world, according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Center. New confirmed coronavirus infections reached record highs for the second day in a row yesterday, according to the World Health Organization. Globally, there are now more than 14.3 million confirmed cases and more than 602,000 deaths, according to researchers at Johns Hopkins University. The United States continues to lead the world with more than 3.7 million cases and more than 140,000 deaths. While testing has increased over the past month, the percentage of positive tests has also been rising, a sign that the virus is spreading, not just being detected more often. Amid growing concerns about the length of time many people are waiting for test results, this weekend the Food and Drug Administration authorized pooled testing for the first time. Labs can now combine or pool up to 4 samples. If there's a positive result, samples are retested individually. This method is already being used to detect COVID-19 in China, Germany, and Israel, and could expand testing capability and conserve testing supplies. Across the United States, confirmed infections are rising on average in the majority of states. In Florida today, state health officials announced more than 12,000 new infections and 89 deaths in the last 24 hours. The death toll in Florida is now more than 5,000. Texas also remains a hot spot, with the state reporting more than 10,000 new cases yesterday for the 5th day in a row. For an update on what's happening in Texas, we turn to Joey Palacio of Texas Public Radio. Joey, what's the situation like in San Antonio and more broadly in Texas?
One of the biggest increases we've ever seen in any city happened on Thursday when the city added more than 5,500 new cases of COVID-19 in a single day. Now, that is actually the result of a backlog from a state lab that the city got all at once. Yesterday, in San Antonio, we saw 1,100 cases added, and we're seeing over 1,000 cases added in some Texas cities. And there's even been some dispute between the San Antonio Metropolitan Health Department and also the state on different forms of testing.
So there's a discrepancy in what test result constitutes positive in Texas?
Right. So there's 2 types of tests that are used. One is a molecular test, also known as PCR, and then there are antigen tests. Where the discrepancy is happening is while San Antonio is considering both the molecular and the antigen test in its total test results, the state is only taking the molecular tests. They had to subtract 3,500 cases, and this week also Texas crossed 300,000 cases. I think we're approaching, if not already over, 320,000 cases. And a lot of this, over, I would say about half, has happened within the last month. So Texas is seeing a skyrocketing amount of cases.
What's been happening along the Rio Grande Valley, the border towns?
So there's a county called Hidalgo County. On Friday, for instance, there were 450 people who tested positive. And this is a county of about 800,000 people or so. They have 267 deaths in Hidalgo County. Again, its population is around 800,000. Whereas here in Bexar County in San Antonio, we also have about that number of deaths as well, maybe around 240 or so. But we have 2 million people here. And one of the big things to note is that Hidalgo is a heavily Latino community, and we have seen this virus disproportionately affect people of color. It affects the Black community, it affects the Latino community, and so you're seeing a higher number of deaths in a county that is very heavily populated by Latinos.
We're also hearing about a large number of infections of infants.
Yes, so on Friday, Nueces County announced that it was adding 85 infants that have tested positive for COVID-19. And the public health director, she had said that these babies have not celebrated even their first birthday yet. And that's what all the information that we have so far as to these children. So we are starting to see this virus affect very, very young children, even at a point where Texas is debating on reopening schools.
Are people taking this seriously when you're out and you're reporting? Do you see mask usage?
After the cases just started increasing exponentially, the governor put in a statewide mask order for counties that have more than 20 cases of COVID. And you have some folks that aren't comfortable wearing masks. You have some folks that refuse to wear masks. But I've noticed that since it's come back, at least here in San Antonio, that mask wearing has gone way, way, way up just from my own being out and about in some cases.